New tonight, retiring JCPS School Superintendent Marty Polio says it's not possible that they'll be dropping the school district's longtime diversity program by Friday's federal deadline. It comes as we also press the Kentucky Senate leader in Frankfort today on just where Republican lawmakers are going with JCPS. Do they want a state takeover or do they want to split it up into pieces? Isaiah Kim Martinez was in Frankfort today and then covered Polio's State of the District address in Louisville. And Isaiah, the feds are threatening to drop their federal funding to JCPS if they don't pull out of these diversity programs. That's what this deadline's all about.
Well, Doug, right, and essentially giving them 2 weeks to do it. Meanwhile, I also talked with Superintendent Polio about how he's concerned over the pending $1 trillion slashes to federal spending, an effort led by House Republicans in Washington, D.C. He says it'll really hurt high poverty districts like JCPS.
If it continues on the path that it's on, every school district in America is going to see some significant cuts, and those with the higher poverty are going to see more cuts than those with lower poverty.
A Friday deadline hangs over JCPS, the U.S. Department of Education telling them to stop diversity programs or risk losing millions in federal funding. At JCPS, it's called Diversity, Equity, and Poverty, an office established in 1984. Does DEP go away?
Yeah, we haven't made any decisions on that yet at this point.
From my interview with outgoing Superintendent Marty Polio, it doesn't appear the district plans to make any overhauls, at least not yet.
I mean, having anything like that in 2 weeks is something that just I don't believe is possible. What the letter was more of an interpretation of the current law, which will probably be played out in court.
It was Polio's final State of the District address. Ahead of a July retirement, I asked him about Kentucky Republicans renewing efforts to pave the way for a split of the district or state takeover of individual schools.
I don't think there's going to be anything like splitting up the district. I mean, first, the bill that would allow individual cities to have their own school systems like a J-town or a Middletown. Really, unraveling that would be nearly impossible.
We told you about Senate Bill 5, which if passed would allow the Kentucky Department of Education to take control of underperforming schools and to fire teachers and principals.
I would be really concerned about who is going to, I mean, it's already a challenge to staff these schools. I'm not sure that's a well thought out plan.
Well, what is the best alternative in your mind right now? Because Amendment 2 obviously failed. Is it the KDE commissioner coming in and firing individual principals, teachers within JCPS? I mean,
it could be, and if you look at it, they actually have the authority to do that.
Senate President Robert Stivers, Kentucky's top Republican lawmaker, has long pushed for accountability within JCPS, citing poor student achievement in a system he says isn't working.
It's not that we're targeting it, they're putting the target on their own back.
We pressed him. Are lawmakers looking for a takeover or a split up of JCPS? What's your preference?
What?
Of all the methods?
Actually, my preference would be that the school board perform their job, get a superintendent that would straighten the system out, and you have a much higher academically performing school system.
Well, he seemed to be softening his tone there from what we heard from him the past few weeks where they were zeroing in on specific plans. For JCPS, Isaiah, with this deadline Friday, what's the best case scenario for them? What could they be hoping for?
You get this sense, I also talked with the JCPS board chair, Corey Shull, about this, that they essentially don't believe that this will really hold up in court when it's all said and done. They believe strongly in their diversity, equity, and poverty program that's existed for decades, and we've seen a lot of the Trump initiatives get struck down, at least temporarily, by federal judges or put on hold. There really isn't that urgency in conversations I've had. They're much more focused on some of those federal spending cuts that are moving forward in Washington, D.C.
All right, thank you very much. A lot to come for JCPS. Next.